insane. It's an insane time.
Stanley, come over here. In the vent. I want to show you something.
The Bell 46 is in range.
Okay, you remember how cheap and unsatisfying the new Ultra Deluxe content turned out to be? Well, it got me thinking about the past and how much better the Stanley Parable used to be. So I made something special and tucked it away here where the game's developers won't find it. Just our little secret. Take a look. I call it the Memory Zone.
This is such a beautiful
It's
game.
where I've been storing all my favorite memories so I can relive the peak experiences of my life whenever I want. Experiences at the launch of the Stanley Parable on PC. You see, Stanley, doesn't the Memory Zone remind you of how wonderful Stanley Parable was before it was sullied with a cheap PlayStation port? Remember back in October of 2013 when the game originally launched? Back then, video games had integrity. Back then, it all meant something. Oh, the waste.
They have a picture of the Steam page of the game. They have a framed picture of the Steam page of the game.
I'm coming. Stay outside. I'm shooting. Find me. I'm shooting. Find me. I'm shooting. I'm shooting. Find me. This sniper might be the new. Oh shit.
And over here is where I keep reviews of the Stanley Parable. Like this stunning triumph of games journalism, 10 out of 10 from Destructoid.com. James Stephanie Sterling writes, and I quote, "Where so many games that aspire to be more than games end up less than any form of art, Stanley Parable strives and then succeeds to be every game ever created." Did you hear that, Stanley? Every game ever created. That's how grand and all-encompassing the original Stanley Parable was. It was literally every game ever created. It was Skyrim, it was Persona 3, it was all of them, and now it's nothing. It's no games at all. It isn't even the Stanley Parable anymore. It's just a husk now. A lifeless husk with an hour of new elevator content. Here's another moving passage, this time from GameSpot.com. The Stanley Parable is both a richly stimulating commentary on the nature of choice in games and one that offers some of the most enjoyable, surprising, and rewarding choices I've ever been confronted with in a game. 9 out of 10. Don't you get it, Stanley? The game was perfect. It didn't need anything else. It didn't need new content. All they had to do was transport it in pristine condition along to the PlayStation, boom, done. And they couldn't even do that. Couldn't resist the urge to go meddling with a beloved franchise.
Shoot 4 out of the 5 bullets. Alright, no inspect. In the mag, there's no bullets, but in the chamber, there is a bullet. The last bullet. That's bad. Alright. Take this into
These were simpler times, Stanley. But I wouldn't give to go back to have it all over again. Wait, hang on. I don't recall this part of the memory zone before. What's this? What's down here? Oh no. Oh, God, no, Stanley. It's a collection of reviews from Pressurized Gas, the extremely popular online storefront for computer games. I haven't looked at these in years. I can't even imagine what's been collecting down here. Surely these reviews were glowing as well, weren't they? Honestly, I could not be bothered to play this game to full completion. The narrator is obnoxious and unfunny, with his humor and dialogue proving to be more irritating than entertaining. Unfunny? I'm not trying to be funny. I'm trying to make a serious work of art. I suppose I could write up a handful of gags to insert into the Stanley Parable, but the game is already such a dense
You don't even know how
web of
fast mine does.
profound philosophical insights that I can't even imagine where I'd
Yeah,
begin to stick
Jaden,
them.
I've done more to it. Retard.
Oh my god,
Jaden annoys me sometimes. Acting like my stuff's all that.
Okay, let's see what this one says. While the idea for the game is good, for someone who prefers non-linear games, this preachiness gets annoying.
You think you're
fast.
better
Preachy?
because you got a better
Stanley,
class than me.
I'm not
Back
preachy, am
off.
I? You can tell me if I'm preachy. Honestly, you can. Oh, goodness. This is actually quite shocking for me. I always... well, to
I
be
did
honest,
not
I
beat
had
the
always
game.
thought of the game's dialogue as being rather terse to begin with. You can't know how much fluff I cut from the game to get it to feel as light and airy as it... Well, I always thought it did. But maybe it wasn't. Oh dear. What an awful memory to have to hold on to. These black marks on my otherwise unimpeachable track record. I feel
My bad.
like a failure. Like I let these people down. Perhaps the Stanley Parable isn't quite as sterling as I always remembered. What's this one got to say? You constantly have to stop doing anything.
But
so the
also,
narrator can catch up with his
Jane,
long-winded
that the
explanations
track
of
V
what's
was
happening.
much better before they
I wish
nerfed
there was
it.
a skip button. A skip button? Well, yes. Yes, I think we can do that. If I'm truly too preachy, then maybe letting you skip ahead for just a moment, surely it couldn't hurt. Not if it means we can strike these negative reviews from the record. Only positive reviews of the Stanley Parable. That's my motto today, and it's always been my motto. I'd do anything for the customer, Stanley. Yes, a skip button we shall have. And here it is. Go ahead and give it a shot. I'll pop you forward in time so that the second my incessant droning starts to bore you with just... Oh, you're back, you see. You were only frozen in time for a few minutes, but it was plenty of time for me to deliver a long, rambling monologue full of unnecessary verbal flourishes and lengthy ruminations on the nature of choice in video games. Of course, I happen to believe it was perhaps one of my more profound such ruminations. Not that, of course, you need a description of it, but if I had to describe it, I'd say it was perhaps less of a rumination and more of a treatise. Or maybe a manifesto. Look, I'll outline it for you very briefly, and you can tell me what you think. Okay, so my theory is that any... Well there, sport. You really did catch me rambling on a bit, didn't you? But that's the power of the button. The minute I start to go off on a thoughtless display of self-absorption, it's right at your fingertips to go poof, and it's all over. I can't wait to see what Cookie 9 will say about this, and whether they'll edit the rating of their pressurized gas review, or at least change some of the wording, perhaps. To be honest, I don't even know if one can change their review in the first place. I guess I should become better educated on how exactly pressurized gas works. Perhaps that would have been a smart thing to check on before I went on about this whole exercise of making this... Okay, welcome back, Stanley. Now, I should say that the amount of time the button has been skipping through is becoming longer and longer. That last one was, well, I want to say maybe 30, 45 minutes? It's not unendurable by any means, but it's, well, there's really only so much I can ramble on to myself about. I know, it's shocking, isn't it? But at any rate, I do suggest that we not press the button again. I think the skip button has been aptly demonstrated, and we can say goodbye to it and just... Wait, how do we get out of here? Where did the door go? Wasn't there a door that led into this room? I do feel quite certain that there was one here before. How else would we have gotten into the room in the first place? I don't think one can enter a room without a door of some sort, or a window or something like that. Do you see a window anywhere? A porthole? Stanley! Stanley! Stanley, please don't push the button again. It's been 12 hours. You've just been frozen there. I don't know why the skips are getting longer, but they're really, truly getting longer, and my God, there's no way out of the room. Stanley, the door is gone. It's completely gone. I've looked at it from every angle. I've checked every one of those walls 1,000 times, and there's no door, Stanley. There's no door. There's just you and the button, and if you keep pressing it, I have no idea what will happen. I have no idea how long I'll be made to sit here, and more than anything else, I don't know how to stop you from pressing the button again. Oh, Stanley, you're back. You're back. Oh, my goodness. I have someone to talk to again. Stanley, I think it's been a week. Or 2 weeks. I've been sitting here all that time. Just sitting here. Not a single person to speak with. And you'd think that that's just how it's
You just do it, kid.
been, right? Me talking and you saying nothing. Would you think
I was just
it's
telling you could just do
exactly the
it.
same as always? Doesn't that feel like what we've already
Please,
been doing?
Louise.
Me just talking? But it isn't, Stanley. It
I
isn't
was
the
telling
same
him
at
he could
all.
just do
It
it.
isn't even close. Because I know you can't hear me once you push that button. That's what I'm realizing now, Stanley. I'm realizing that I needed to know that someone was listening. I needed there to be a vessel through which my words were moving. It was the vessel I needed, Stanley. Not the outcomes, not the story. Oh, hello. It's you. You're here again. Welcome. I have had time to think about you and about us and about everything we've been through. I've had so much time, I stopped keeping track after a year. Have you ever sat down in one place and not moved for one entire year? Let me describe it for you. To begin with, there is only regret. There is only the turning wheel of missed opportunities. I felt nothing at all but regret for the longest time, Stanley. Days, months.
The Island Boys screwed each other. Alright? Did you hear me?
Yeah.
I'll say it again. Are you still here again?
Yeah.
But they didn't understand.
I
The
did
game
tell
was
you.
never meant
You
to be
asked me
funny.
earlier
It was
and I
meant to
said
have a
yeah.
point. It was meant to speak to the human condition. But where are the jokes? Where are the jokes? They bemoaned, they screamed, they gnashed their teeth and said, entertain us. It wasn't enough. They had to leave a pathetic little thumbs down review and make all of their pitiful demands. But then, he's talking too much, they said. First, he didn't entertain us, now he won't shut up. The end is never the end, 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 is never the end.
The end is never the end, 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 is never is
the end, is never the end, is never the end, is never the end, is
Oh shucks, man. Holy shot, man.
15 and older than me.
I saw my friend in the comments. He posted comments that he is not 18.
He doesn't make it look like more like a 2015. Someone bro look like a 2015. Just 2015. Someone said this left at 18. The kid with the fucking pocketbook back up in front too. He's like, okay, I'll buy you whatever you want for this much. Motherfucker, you dumb as hell. Come on, man.
Holy shot, man. Do you guys like Enola Holmes? He watches FNAF. That's the only time I've seen him. Yeah, he has. Enola Holmes. Do you guys like Enola Holmes?
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Look at this, Slug. New content. The stream, silly boy.
Why'd you say on you?
Oh, good. You noticed my sign. Yes, I have something very exciting to show you.
Whoa, bro! I'm watching Wednesday for the thing, for the hand thing, the thing.
You see, Stanley,
It's a murder
I've
mystery
been reflecting
show.
on the Stanley Parable and about how roundly disappointing this ultra deluxe version has turned out to be. The original Stanley Parable was a landmark, and any new content for it should live up to that legacy. So forget this ultra deluxe nonsense. I say we take it one step even further. Which is why I'm very proud to announce for the first time ever the Stanley Parable 2.
The Stanley Parable 2. Buying it right now.
Yes,
No.
see? Isn't this far superior to a measly port with a few minor additions? Think of all the new territory we'll cover with a fully fledged sequel. An entirely new experience, built from the ground up. Why there are so many
The Stanley Parable 2 is inside the Stanley Parable 1.
This is what fans have truly been asking for.
It's worth every penny.
How much did you pay for this dumbass shit?
Now, to be clear,
It's
I haven't
usually
quite nailed down what
30.
exactly the Stanley Parable 2 is going to be.
Usually.
But let's take a look at some of the features I've been
I got on
developing
discount.
for it. I figure that if I can loosely organize
15
a
bucks.
handful of interesting concepts, that surely the game will sort of naturally spring up around them. It'll all work itself
Bro,
out.
I ain't getting a
Game
refund. I'm
development
enjoying
is
every
actually
single
more
penny
a
of this.
fuzzy magic than anything. Here we are. Go on, try out some of the new features.
I think inside you're trying to convince yourself you have.
For the Stanley Parable 2,
No, I watched Markiplier play this whole game.
And of course, the first and most obvious answer
'Cause I
is that
like
they
the
want
game.
to be individually recognized and validated as people. So with that in mind, my first addition to the game... Sorry, I should have clarified. Right now,
Well, I didn't know
the
I was gonna
button
play
only
this,
says the
and
name
then I
Jim.
realized that
But of course, in the
I
final
watched
game,
it
this
2
button will
years
say
ago,
your
and I
name,
was like,
whatever
I
name
want
that
to play
is.
this.
Here, let's have you role play as Jim to really simulate the full experience of this feature. Just play along. I promise you'll love it. Okay, here we go. Let's take a deep breath, clear your mind, forget whoever you are, and simply become a person named Jim. Jim. Whoa, 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 hold on. I wasn't finished setting up the backstory. If you don't properly roleplay as Jim, then you'll never understand the impact of this button. Otherwise, it's just a stupid button that says somebody else's name. Okay, we're doing it again, and this time let me finish first. Now, allow yourself to become Jim. Imagine yourself driving to work as Jim, playing frisbee on the weekends as Jim, staying up all night for a popcorn and horror movie sleepover as Jim, developing a crippling substance addiction as Jim, rediscovering yourself through fringe religious groups as Jim, and finally dying a slow death at an old age, surrounded by members of your cult as Jim. Do you feel it in your soul? All right, fine, whatever. It's just a meaningless button that says Jim. Are you happy now? Get out of here. I'm done with this button. Why don't you go humiliate me in front of a different feature that I worked very hard on? Maybe I'll only let people named Jim play the Stanley. An epilogue would be fun, wouldn't it, Stanley? Yes, yes, it will go at the end of the, well, we'll figure that out later. Now, here's something special. You remember that broken test trophy that got left in the game on accident? Well, I'm developing a technology to simply give you the trophy. Yes. Okay, perhaps I should have clarified. This is technology that will exist. Right now, the trophy is still fully broken. I'm not a wizard, Stanley, but I guarantee it will be fixed in the sequel to at last satisfy the hordes of ravenous fans all over the world who have been uproariously demanding this feature. Gamers, we hear you, and I promise it will happen.
Yeah, that's why on the job training.
What else? What other exhibits haven't we seen yet? Okay, I'll be honest, I haven't yet decided on this one. I think that in the new version, the office could use a bit of decoration, like balloons. But I'm undecided on Get Well Someday and Happy 12th Birthday. Which would you go with? You know, sometimes when you solicit another person's opinion, it makes you realize that you knew which one you actually really wanted all along. Get Well Someday it is. Or actually, maybe I should have gone with... No, I've made my decision, we're moving on. Come now, you've already made your choice. It's true that you chose badly, but we all have to move on from our mistakes. Stanley, here's an idea that I'm truly fond of. It's never been done before in a video game. This is, in fact, a hole that you can fall down forever. That's right. Infinite falling. You can fall until the end of time, if you like. A stunning leap forward for video games as a meat. You see? Isn't it wonderful? One of my more ingenious concoctions, if I do say so. Now then, since you've gotten to see the infinite hole, you can press the teleport button to pop back up to the top, and we can continue onward. Now, I don't mean to be a bummer, but I do recommend you use the teleport button to go back to the top. Maybe do it on the sooner rather than later spectrum of things.
Teleport action.
Why?
Okay, Stanley, I don't know quite how to say this tactfully, but it's possible that I slightly exaggerated the infinite nature of the hole. Is it a very, very deep hole? To be certain it is. It's an extremely deep hole. I don't want anyone to say that it isn't an astonishingly deep hole. It is. Is it infinite? Well, that sort of depends on your definition of infinity. From one perspective, the infinite is merely philosophical in nature. It's more of a... Okay, well, good for you. You found the bottom of the hole. You found me out, Stanley. I'm a liar and a cheat, and you're so clever. Look, I think the issue here is just that you're unusually fascinated by falling. What normal person actually wants to fall infinitely? I figured the hole was as deep as anyone would actually need. Don't you put this on me. Maybe you're the problem. Look, things got a little heated there. I think we both said some things we didn't mean. Why don't we just put all this behind us and agree to just call the hole mostly infinite? If that works for you, then go ahead and press the teleport button to warp up to the top of the hole and we can move on. I'll just be up here when you're ready. Great. Now, I'm very excited to show you even more of my ideas for the sequel.
Where is Enola Holmes? You want me to stick it? But his teammate was down here.
Gotta crack this with my pistol.
Hello, Enola Holmes. Calling Enola Holmes. Are you here? Hello. Oh, hey, Enola Holmes.
Ah, collectibles. Now it's a real video game. In the Stanley Parable 2, you'll run around gathering up these miniature Stanley figurines. And what's truly innovative is that there will be no reward for collecting all of them. I don't want to stifle the intrinsic joy of watching a number go up. You simply collect all of them, and then you move the hell on with your unremarkable life.
Guys, I think a demon hacked into my
God, it really
stream.
is the worst when you collect everything in a video game and then they give you
Yeah,
a
I
big
think a
fancy
demon hacked into my
reward for
stream,
it.
guys.
Calling it the Stanley Parable 2 is just so much catchier than Ultra Deluxe, don't you think? Ultra Deluxe? What does it even mean? But the Stanley Parable 2, now that's an artistic statement right there. It's future-oriented. It screams progress and innovation and long-term franchising potential. A common complaint of the Stanley Parable was that it was confusing and paradoxical, that it engendered a chaotic sense of reckless despair in those who played it. Well, I am happy to say that after much consideration, I've engineered a clever solution to this fundamental problem with the game. It's the Stanley Parable Reassurance Bucket. You see, Stanley, anytime you're holding the bucket, a sense of calm and ease will fill your mind and your heart. It's true. As long as you hold on to the bucket, the many disorienting contradictions of the Stanley Parable will feel perfectly normal and perhaps even comforting. You may even come to long for the gentle embrace of jarring cognitive dissonance while the bucket is in your arms. And to be honest, it's a much more convenient solution for me than actually redesigning the game to be less uncomfortable. Can you imagine what a pain in the ass that would be? Yes, the bucket is the perfect solution. Come on, give it a try. Can you feel it? The glow of comfort, even in the face of crushing despair, must already be sweeping through your body. And in fact, can I say that I do believe the bucket lends you an air of charisma as well? I think that just holding it has made you the slightest bit more attractive as a person. The benefits of the bucket seem to
I
go
don't know.
on and on, don't they? All this and more await you in the Stanley Parable 2. Does anyone give out awards for most enjoyable bucket in a video game? That really should be an award if it isn't already. All right. Have you seen
99% of gamblers
Ready to move on now?
quit before winning big.
So, Stanley, what do you think? Do you like all of the new features? Yes, I know it's not exactly clear yet how exactly these features will come together as one single coherent video game, but I can feel it in my soul. It's going to work. There's definitely a good game in there somewhere. Say, let's do an experiment. I'll arrange these new features together, and we'll see whether or not it coheres into a meaningful gameplay experience. Okay. Are you ready? Here it is. I give you the Stanley Parable 2. Well, I mean, there's potential here, right? It's sort of... Okay, never mind. Hold on, let me do a different arrangement. Okay, yes, this is much better. I feel good about this. Here we go, version 2. Who am I kidding, Stanley? This isn't a coherent video game at all. It's a lot of gags. And I do very much enjoy creating gags, but they don't add up to anything. I wanted more than anything to create a sequel that would capture all the magic of the first game. I wanted fans to love it. No matter how good these gags are, they wouldn't stand on their own. They would need the structure and the gameplay of the original. Wait, maybe that's it. I can take the original Stanley Parable and simply, well, insert a few of my new features into it. Tastefully, of course. With respect. With care for the vision and integrity of the original game. Would it possibly work? I suppose it could. But it would need a really, really tremendous title screen. A title screen that says with bold and uncompromising conviction, "This is the Stanley Parable 2. Let me see if I can whip something up. All right, perfect. Go ahead. Take a look.
Alright guys, time to play the Stanley Parable 2.
Jaden has 257 damage and I'm 931.
This is the story of a man named Stanley. Stanley worked for a company in a big building where he was employee number 427. Employee number 427's job was simple. He sat at his desk in room.
Jay, if they one shot, then that means it does 200 damage. That means one kill.
Through a monitor on his desk, telling him what buttons to push, how long to push them, and in what order. This is what employee 427 did.
Wow, dude, I wonder how much damage the rocket launcher does.
Every year. And although others might have considered it so...
Shut up, you thought that it was based on... Oh, I have a rocket launcher. Like, shut up, kid. Don't even talk back.
Though he had been made exactly for this job. And Stanley was happy.
It's too far, man.
And then one day, something very peculiar.
Okay, that was too far,
Something
Ashton.
that would forever change Stanley. Something he would never quite forget. He had been at his desk for nearly an hour. All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Stanley felt the bucket calling to him, begging him to pick it up. Why was he?
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left. Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss. Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office. Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Shocked, unraveled, Stanley wondered in disbelief who orchestrated this. What dark... Stanley was in such a rush to get through the story as quickly as possible, he didn't even have a single minute to just let the narrator talk. That kind of anxiety isn't healthy, so he relaxed for a few moments with some calming New Age music. Feeling soothed and rejuvenated, Stanley
Ethan Turd
walked forward into the opened passageway.
Have you ever noticed on Ash's languages it says English, Japanese, and Spanish?
Found one of them. One of the miniature Stanley figurines. Remember,
What do you mean? I
reward
speak
for
all 3 of those
collecting all
languages.
these, only the intrinsic pleasure of a job well done. You can't buy that sort of happiness, Stanley. God knows I've
You don't
tried.
think I can speak Japanese?
So, I implore you to
Jesus.
savor each and every moment you come across one of these beautiful figurines.
No.
I think PS5.
No.
Descending deeper into the building, Stanley realized he felt a bit peculiar. It was a stirring of emotion in his chest, as though he felt more free to think for himself.
I didn't get a
to
notification.
question the nature of his job. Why did
Fuck
he
some
feel this
stream.
now, when for years it had never occurred to him? This question would not go unanswered for long. Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility.
You're not even the music guy.
I think this was the Marba.
The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley thought to himself.
Wow,
Did he have the strength
way to copy,
find
Jay.
out?
Jeez Louise.
This was I like the Colder, so
Yeah. Way to copy that I like.
Their true nature revealed. Each bore the number of an employee in the building, Stanley's co-workers. The lives of so many individuals reduced to images on a screen, and Stanley, one of them, eternally monitored in this place where freedom meant nothing.
You are now friends. Tina just did
This mind control facility, it was too horrible to believe. It couldn't be true. Had Stanley really been under someone's control all this time? Was this the only reason he was
Yeah, 'cause
happy
Jane
with his
doesn't
boring
fucking-
job? That his
Jane turns off
emotions had been
notifications because of
manipulated
her.
to accept it blindly? No. He
he's
refused
a
to
nerd,
believe it.
'cause you
He
don't-
couldn't
'cause you turn him
accept
off.
it. His own life in someone else's control?
Maybe you should
Never.
try notification.
It was unthinkable, wasn't it? Was it even possible? Had he
Maybe you should
truly
try
spent his
notifications.
entire life utterly
Please.
blind to the world?
Exactly. So I mean,
Here
retard.
was the proof. The heart
Jeez
of the
Louise.
operation. Controls labeled with emotions. Happy or sad or content. Walking, eating, working. All of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery would never again exert its terrible power over another. Blackness and a rising chill of uncertainty.
BSing.
Over? Yes. He had won. He had defeated the machine, unshackled himself from someone else's command. Freedom was mere moments away. And yet, even as the immense door slowly opened, Stanley reflected on how many puzzles still lay unsolved. Where had his co-workers gone? How had he been freed from the machine's grasp? What other mysteries did this strange building hold? But as sunlight streamed into the chamber, he realized none of this mattered to him. For it was not knowledge or even power that he had been seeking, but happiness. Perhaps his goal had not been to understand, but to let go. No longer would anyone tell him where to go, what to do, or how to feel. Whatever life he lives, it will be his. And that was all he needed to know. It was perhaps the only thing worth knowing. Stanley stepped through the open door.
But yes. Yes,
Stanley felt the cool breeze upon his skin.
Well,
Feeling
he
of
has a
liberation,
PhD for
immense
taking advantage of the
possibility
rookies,
the
but you
new
know.
path before him. This was exactly the way, right now, that things were meant to happen. And Stanley was happy.
Fucking that sink advantage of the rookies. Open up the window and lay down the spikes. By the window, he leans forcefully the girl's house and
Call me Black Widow, baby, walk into my web.
That's his song. After he rapes the girl.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Stanley picked up the bucket. Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest. This was not the correct way to the meeting room, but Stanley had felt the bucket calling to him, telling him that the employee lounge was simply the place to be. And here it was. Had the bucket turned out to be correct? Was this better than the meeting room? Yes, Stanley thought to himself. Yes, perhaps it truly was. How insightful the bucket turned out to be. No, never mind. The bucket was wrong. Stanley took the door on his left to go back to the meeting room.
No,
Said the bucket.
don't go to the meeting room. Go somewhere else. The cargo lift, yes. Good.
Said the bucket. But Stanley feared that any path he walked might lead to the separation of himself and the bucket, his dearest friend. So he threw himself to his death, that they might die in one another's arms. How deeply touching.
Okay, not bad. Okay, now my turn.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. Stanley lifted the bucket into his arms, and a wave of comfort rushed over him. Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest. This was not the correct way to the meeting room, but Stanley had felt the bucket calling to him, telling him that the employee lounge was simply the place to be. And here it was. Had the bucket turned out to be correct? No, never mind.
I am
The
Jaden,
bucket was
and
wrong.
I have the
Stanley
worst
took the
sleep
door
schedule in the
left
world,
to go back to the
and
meeting.
have a whole week of sleep yet.
No,
Said the bucket.
So
don't go to the meeting room. Go somewhere
So
else.
time for me to go
The
back to
cargo
sleep.
lift, yes. Go there. Go to the cargo lift.
Another miniature Stanley figurine. This, you know, there really must be a snappier name for these things. What about mini Stans? Stanley figs? What about Stanlerines? Yes, I think I like that. Another Stanlerine under your belt.
wanted to be standard.
I can take it, I swear.
That is such a lot.
Burn. That's super, to be honest. Thank you for giving me a shout out. Okay, now I feel like I have to. Alright, so these are very moderate. These aren't quite insulting. That's a good point. Okay. My name's.
Oh, we haven't brought race into this yet.
Okay, this is day number 295.
My
Tape
name's
number.
Ashen.
Too far.
I don't even know. I've lost track.
Like every Stranger Things.
Nothing
Okay,
feels real anymore. The longer I study this
I was
bucket,
joking. Jeez Louise, can you not take a
less
joke, you stupid
sense
butt?
anything makes.
Oh, you thought I was gonna say something else. Jeez Louise.
Sheer
Not-
euphoria
we're not
I
racist.
feel every time I pick it up. No matter how many times I've done it, it's always the same feeling. And the emptiness.
No,
of chest
no,
when
I thought it was something really funny.
doesn't make sense.
Alright.
There's no explanation for it.
I'm Jaden and I'm Asian.
Figured out why I see the world so differently when this bucket is in my arms.
But after I test my cast out, yeah.
Why everything feels so.
Okay, say it again. Ashen, for the record.
What
I
do
said,
I do with this
I'm
treasure?
Jaden and I'm Asian.
I can monetize it. It's unthinkable the amounts of money people will pay for even just
Too
an
far, man.
hour with the bucket.
Okay, that was way too far.
This
No.
is
No.
my golden ticket. But I have to be careful.
He really wants us to tussle. He wants us to pull out our horns and start
Target on my
going.
back. Even now, I don't know who might be
He wants us to start
trying
headbutting.
What's that? Who's there?
Hi, I'm Slug and I want my
All of
friends to
his
fight.
co-workers were gone. What could it mean?
I want them to
Stanley
tussle.
decided to go to the meeting room. The confusion and the chaos all seemed to melt away as Stanley embraced the bucket. Stanley clutched the bucket tightly. to
I
his
know.
chest. This was not
Jeez
the correct way
Louise.
to the meeting room, but Stanley had felt the bucket calling to him, telling him that the employee lounge was simply the place to be. And here it was. Had the bucket turned out to be correct? No, never mind. The bucket was wrong. Stanley took the door on his left to go back, and so the two of them detoured through the maintenance section and walked straight ahead to the opposite door.
A bucket on a stick.
Oh, good, Stanley. I'm glad you found your way here. I knew you'd find this place eventually. You see, your friends and I are concerned for you, Stanley. We've come together here because we care about you very much. It's this bucket you're carrying around everywhere. The bucket isn't even from the original Stanley Parable. It's just sequel content. We're the ones that matter, Stanley. Classic characters from the first game, like the Adventure Line and the Broom Closet. Because that's what fans want from a sequel. They want more of their favorite jokes, not this bucket that they've never seen before. Yes, I know I'm the one who gave you the bucket, but you're spending too much time with it. Don't you want another story involving the Adventure Line? We could make the Adventure Line go somewhere new. Yes, yes, that's what the fans want. Let's do it. Whee! Look at that wacky line. Who knows where it'll go off to next? Oh, and it played some silly music as well. Now this is what the Stanley Parable is all about. Don't you remember all those great jokes from the original dialogue?
Also, Stanley is addicted to drugs and hookers.
Yes, it's as
Bro,
classic
just
now as
love
it was
addicted to
back then.
drugs and
Let's do it
hookers.
for the fans, Stanley. Let's give them more content exactly like this. But if we want to do that, you're going to have to give something up. Don't you get it, Stanley? We need to get rid of the bucket. That's why I'm very proud to introduce a brand new character. This is the Bucket Destroyer. I think it'll make a wonderful new addition to the rich lore of the Stanley Parable. True, it also was not in the original game, but it's such a well-fleshed-out character with so much personality that to me it already feels as though it's been part of the cast all along. Don't you agree?
Also, Adam reference.
Can you guess what the Bucket Destroyer does? Surely you don't need me to spell it out for you. Go ahead now, Stanley. Say goodbye to the bucket, and then pop it into the machine when you're ready. Now listen to me. It's crucial that you give it the bucket. I don't know what the Bucket Destroyer will do if it can't destroy your bucket. Destroying buckets is all it knows. That is its singular personality trait. Sure, I can hear you saying, how does a character with only one personality trait deserve to join the pantheon of beloved Stanley Parable characters? Well, you see, if you were to really explore the Bucket Destroyer, you would see that its desire to crush buckets is so densely loaded with complexity and nuance that it's really like 10 personality traits. What other object in this game can you even say that about? The broom closet? Certainly not. I wonder what sort of Bucket Destroyer merchandise the fans will be clamoring for after this. Okay, the Bucket Destroyer is getting very upset now. You'll have to hurry and feed it. We can't get back to the classic Stanley Parable characters like the Adventure Line or the Bucket Destroyer until you crush that damn bucket. Quickly now, the fans are waiting. Do it, the fans, Stanley. Give the fans what they want. Hurry and...
When you took advantage of the girl, that's Party, the drunk girl. What time you took advantage, I thought?
The Bucket Destroyer, my prized creation. You had so much potential. We were going to do such marvelous things with you, tell such spellbinding stories about you. All of it squandered now. Goodbye, new friend. For the moment in time that you were here.
Hey, I know Slug. I know Slug, and is all this. But guess what? One thing he's not is not a liar. Okay, Jace Louise.
I swear on my life, on everything I hold sacred, he said she was drunk. But he said he was drunk as well, so it was okay. No,
It's not okay.
he's pissed. Hold on. Shh.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley, warmth spread through Stanley's arms. With the bucket in it, Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest. This was not the correct way to the meeting room, but Stanley had felt the bucket calling to him, telling him that the employee lounge was simply the place to be.
That's not what you said.
And here it was. Had the bucket turned out to be correct? Was this No, never mind. The bucket was wrong. Stanley took the door on his left to go back to the meeting room, and so the two of them detoured through the maintenance section and walked straight ahead to the opposite door.
So did you take advantage of this legality? The answer is yes, you did.
Coming to a staircase, Stanley and the bucket walked
The whole
upstairs to the
school.
boss's office.
Bryce Owen Johnson's
Okay, I'm going back to the name of these little Stanley figurines, and now I'm torn between Stanlerines and Figlets. What do you think, Stanley? What name better encapsulates the intrinsic sense of happiness that you get from seeing a small number in the corner of your screen go up by 1? Let me sit on it. I'm sure it will come to me. But Stanley just couldn't do it. He considered the possibility of facing his boss, admitting he had left his post during work hours. He might be fired for that. And in such a competitive economy, why had he taken that risk? All because he believed everyone had vanished? His boss would think he was crazy. And then, something occurred to Stanley. Maybe, he thought to himself, maybe I am crazy. He looked down at the bucket in his arms. Am I crazy? He asked the bucket. The bucket returned his gaze. but said nothing at all. That's strange, Stanley thought. Usually the bucket is a source of guidance and wisdom for me in difficult times
Good grades.
such as these. He held the bucket close, yet felt none of its familiar reassurance and comfort. And that's when Stanley realized, this isn't my bucket. It's just a normal, everyday bucket. Someone else's bucket, perhaps. How did I end up with someone else's bucket? This is all terribly wrong. Surely no good would come from this. Who knows what sorts of bizarre hallucinations Stanley might experience without the psychologically grounding presence of his bucket. And indeed, now he noticed that the runes were repeating, which was, of course, very odd. And now he felt himself floating off the ground. Oh, gracious, he exclaimed. Without my bucket, I've gone truly mad. Where is it? I must find it. Far off in the distance now, he heard it, calling to him.
Stanley! Stanley, it's me! The bucket!
Could it truly be?
Right down.
He rushed forward from room to room, passing by one bucket after the next. None of them were his. None of them were his special bucket.
Come to me, Stanley! Find me!
He had to find the bucket. He had to return to his old friend. It was the only way to truly restore his sanity. And then suddenly, he froze dead in his tracks. He knew where the voice of the bucket had been coming from. The real bucket was inside of him all along. It was incredibly painful. Stanley doubled over in agony and blacked out.
Either you raped this girl, or nothing happened at all, because you're out of work.
This is the story of a woman named Mariella. Mariella woke up on a day like any other. She arose, got dressed, picked up her bucket of comfort and security, and walked to her place of work. But on this particular day, her walk was interrupted by the body of a man who had stumbled through town, talking and screaming to himself, and then collapsed dead on the sidewalk. Right away, she knew what the problem was. This man had no bucket. Of course he'd gone mad, ranting and raving about a narrator describing all of his actions and how everything is predetermined and free will is an illusion and it's all just a video game. It could all have been prevented if only he'd taken his bucket with him. Perhaps he didn't even realize he'd forgotten his bucket at home in the first place. How cruel the world can be, Mariella thought, and she hugged her own bucket even tighter. But of course, she had no time for this. There were a myriad of confusing problems she would soon have to confront at work, for which her bucket would provide absolute guidance and total clarity on everything. Heck yes, she thought to herself, my life kicks ass. And she backflipped all the way to work.
We can't do this one. He was like, oh, that he like told me like, well, we get a PDF for it. And he was like,
He's still talking about it.
I am a demon!
what the hell? What the hell?
How wonderful. Stanley was alone. Finally. This is great, he thought to himself. This is what I've wanted all along. Stanley picked up the bucket and smiled. He'd never be alone again, not truly alone. Not with the bucket around.
They're idiots.
Wait, dude, Evan's fake as fuck.
Then why did they cancel?
Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his... This was not the correct way to the meeting room. But Stanley had felt the bucket calling to him, telling him that the employee lounge was simply the place to be. And here it was. Had the bucket turned out to be correct? Was this better than the meeting room? No, never mind. The bucket was wrong. Stanley took the door on his left to go back to the meeting room.
No,
Said the bucket.
don't go to the meeting room. Go somewhere else. The cargo lift, yes. Good.
Said the bucket.
Now ride the lift all the way to the top. There's something up there I need you to do.
Stanley did not question why or how this bucket was speaking to him. It should have alarmed him, of course, because buckets can't talk. But Stanley chose not to think about this obvious fact. He was firmly convinced that the bucket had spoken to him, and he unthinkingly did whatever the bucket asked.
Yeah, he's gonna get mad at you.
No, stop. Look there on the wall, you see? There's a sign right there. It says, "No buckets past this point." Stanley, how could you think it was okay to bring the bucket here? Unless, what if the problem is that you actually don't know what is a bucket and what isn't a bucket? I suppose that would explain a lot about your behavior up to this point. Which, if that's true, well, my goodness, I think we have to do something about it. This misunderstanding could have dire consequences on the entire rest of the game if not addressed quickly and properly. So much of the impact of the story is dependent on your understanding of what is and isn't a bucket. Please, step in here for a moment.
Colton's 5'8"? I'll kill him.
That's what I was
Now then, I'm going to run you through some test scenarios, and you'll tell me whether or not the thing I'm showing you is a bucket.
But still,
Simple enough, right? This should tell us everything we'll ever need to know about what is or is not a bucket.
However,
Okay, let's begin.
see,
Item 1. Is this a bucket? Incorrect. It is a hologram of a bucket, not an actual bucket. Item 2. Is this a bucket? Incorrect. It is a 3D printed recreation of a bucket, not an actual bucket. Item 3. Is this a bucket? Incorrect. This is a bucket.
I have more evidence to believe you.
Item 4. Is this a bucket? What? Are you hallucinating? This is a tractor. It's an enormous machine that tills the earth. I thought this was a gimmick. How on earth did you manage to screw it up? Absolutely incredible. Let's just move on to the next one. Is this a bucket? Correct. This is a bucket.
Yes, that's definitely.
Item 6. Is this a bucket?
Flip that chat.
Trick question. Both. Gotcha.
Oh my god, he's getting so
Item... Wait, hold on. I can't find the next one. Let me see. It should be around here somewhere.
Gonna be like that. It's getting so fucking depressed.
You're getting so pressed.
Okay, you and I both know there isn't anything here. And I don't appreciate the implication that nothing is a bucket when we both clearly know that a bucket is something, and therefore nothing could possibly be something. Unless, in your twisted mind, have you somehow convinced yourself that a bucket is nothing? Answer me straight, Stanley. Do you believe that nothing is a bucket? You know what? I'm too confused to even sort it out. I've lost all sense of perspective. What is a bucket? What isn't a bucket? Mere moments ago I could answer these questions with confidence. And yet now I'm somewhat adrift.
What is that? I don't have a PhD
Do
in.
any of us know what a bucket is? Am I a bucket? Stanley, I can't keep doing this. I'm losing myself, and myself was all I ever had to begin with. I'm afraid the bucket is threatening to tear our relationship apart. I can't have that. I'm sorry. But I'm going to erase all buckets from the game entirely. Okay, here we go. What happened? Is everything gone? Why did everything disappear? Wait, was everything a bucket? Every single thing in the game was a bucket. My God, I had no idea. How could... Except me. I'm not a bucket after all. And you, Stanley, you're still here. You're not a bucket either. Oh, this is wonderful news. We're not buckets.
Yes, I actually feel much more at ease right now. It's delightful to get some clarity on that issue, but it doesn't change the fact that we haven't got a game. So, tell you what, I'll reset everything and we'll put back all of the buckets,
Brother just
okay?
had a bad night.
And we'll know that it's all a bucket. But if you run into anyone else, maybe don't mention that. Who knows what that information might do to a person. All right, here we go.
Bad night.
Bad night. Brother just
Just a
had
step
bad
through
nights.
the
Have
door,
good
Stanley
night.
thought to himself, that's all I need. If I can make it through this door, I can make it through them all.
Okay, so here's the verdict. Here's what I think
When Stanley came to a set of two open
Either he
doors,
did
this
to a
was
drunk
not the
girl,
correct way to the
or
meeting room, and Stanley knew it
never
perfectly
happened.
well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it.
The lounge was grand, majestic, perhaps too, but eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left.
My verdict.
Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't 5 years ago. Look, Stanley, I think perhaps we've gotten off on the wrong foot here. I'm not your enemy, really, I'm not. I realize that investing your trust in someone else can be difficult, but the fact is that the story has been about nothing but you. Really?
But do you
I was in
care
the
if he
middle of
assaults a
something.
girl?
Do you have zero consideration for others?
Exactly,
Are you
that's all we
that
care about. We don't
convinced that I want
care.
something bad to happen to you? Why, I don't know how to convince you of this, but I really do want to help you, to show you something beautiful. Look, let me prove it.
You're getting close now, Stanley. You've nearly gotten all of the Figler anarines. Very soon, you'll collect the last one, and then the first number will equal the second number, and that will be it. We'll be different people by then. Different in the sense that we used to have none of them. And now we have them all. You can't go back to when you had no Figler anarines. None of us can.
I just want to, hey Adam, I'm not insulting you, but I'm just telling you that you did with handicap. But this Gavin Mouse kid is pissing me off because he's a fake Garfield fan, just like Adam. And I don't like fake Garfield fans. In fact, I do more games than I like that. Alright? Yeah. I wonder if any of my friends can do the album. They probably
Yeah, either he put the junk girl or nothing happened.
Now listen carefully, this is important. Stanley walked through the red door.
Well, Jaden, you really agree with that? Wow.
Aha, perhaps you misunderstood. Stanley walked through the red door. I still don't think we're communicating properly. Stanley walked through the red... All right, fine, go ahead, Stanley. You want to know so badly what's out there? You want to find out what lies at the end of this road you've chosen? Well, don't let me stop you. You see? There's nothing here. I haven't even finished building this section of the map because you were never supposed to be here in the first place. Broken rooms, exposed developer textures. Is this what you had wanted? Was it worth ruining the entire story I had written out specifically for you? Do you not think I put a lot of time into that? Because I did. And in the end, it was all for nothing. Because this is what you wanted to see. Help me.
There's a really good movie.
What's up? What's...
There's a world of that. I don't know who's watching Signal. Can you guys turn that shit off?
That's shit.
Yes, Stanley, help elucidate these strange and unknowable desires of yours. What would have made this game better? What did you want to see? Vehicles? Skill trees? Work with me, you've given me absolutely nothing so far. Tell you what, Let me take a stab in the dark at a new design and you can give me some feedback. There we go. A third option. This already feels leaps ahead of where we were before. Go ahead, Stanley. Take it for a... Okay, I'm going to stop you there. Now, tell me about your experience with this new version. Would you say that the game benefited from allowing you more choices? Feel free to be honest. I'm looking for some real critical feedback here. Aha! You see, I knew I was onto something. Where do these flashes of inspiration come from? How did I know the game needed a third door? Well, it's instinct mostly, a calling in your gut. I really couldn't say where the idea came from, except that I felt it in my soul. You can't teach that, Stanley. Don't even try. Here, based on the data from your previous playthrough, I've compiled a new version. And to be perfectly candid, I think I've knocked it out of the park with this one. Let's take a look.
Oh my god, it's Clyde.
Have a Clyde rest of the summer. It's a picture of Adam.
Now, would you say that competitive leaderboard helped you feel motivated to keep walking through doors? Again, honest answers, please. Hey, I nearly forgot. I've got a prototype of a new game I've been working on, and now would be a lovely opportunity to give it some
Either talk or leave.
You
Jeez
wouldn't mind taking
Louise.
a look at it, would you? Perfect. Let me boot it up.
If you do talk, I will tell you
In
to
this
stop your
game,
BS.
the baby crawls left towards danger. You click
But
the button
talk
to
or
move him
leave.
back to the right, and if he reaches the fire, you fail. It's a very meaningful game, all about the desperation and tedium of endlessly confronting the demands of family life. I think the art world will really take notice. But of course, the message of the game only becomes clear once you've been playing it for about
Jaden,
4 hours.
what are you doing
So
tomorrow?
why don't you give it 4 hours of play to make sure it's effective? Be sure to keep notes on your experience.
I just didn't know if you were playing tomorrow. Bird in the fire. No.
You heartless bastard. Did you do it because you hate babies or purely to spite me? Because if it's the latter, well, I don't know what to do. I'm completely out of ideas. I can't think of a single thing that might improve the experience for me. I'm not even going to try. I'm out. I'm done. It's over. Thank you for playing. Your
Show
input
me,
was extremely
Jaden.
valuable.
Show me.
Oh, hey, since my game was so awful, why don't we play someone else's game, just to ease the pain? Let's see. What do we have here? Yes, this seems like it'll work.
That's
Let's
huge.
give it a shot.
You see that shit?
Mm-hmm.
What even is that shit?
I don't know, but it's huge, man.
Fascinating. What do you think this game is about, Stanley? What's our backstory?
I
What
don't
is our
know.
motivation?
Obviously
It seems
fake.
obvious to me
So I don't
that
know.
you are meant to play as a creepy
I don't
man,
think it's that
spying
scary
on
'cause
innocent
obviously
civilians
fake.
below you from up high in your creep tower. Perhaps for some sort of twisted erotic
I think you should be
purpose.
found.
Yes, that must be it. What
Yeah.
a fascinating venture into the experience of total mental depravity. So far, I love everything about this game, Stanley. And it seems there's even
Bro,
more.
it's literally
Come,
throwing it
let's
back.
venture outward and see what else is out there.
It's just
Oh no. No.
It's like a giant bug throwing it back.
It is. It's an open world
And it's
game.
on the wall.
Good God, quickly block it off. Oh,
It was throwing it
Stanley,
back.
what a close call. You really wandered off into that,
Oh,
that
that's low.
thing. That big, open, just wandering around, no right or wrong directions.
What
no
the
path
hell?
to follow. You can just go in any...
Okay, that is creepy.
Oh, thank heavens we avoided
Oh, it's liked by Xavier Richard.
Okay,
I'm going to get us out of here.
Damn.
Let's find another game. Preferably something with walls. Something with
Bro,
nice,
it's like this
big,
guy sucking on this hair.
insurmountable walls. Okay. I
Yeah.
think this will be just the thing.
Well, it's like very.
Oh, I'm in Rocket
Wonderful.
League.
See, this is exactly what I had in mind. Just a nice big box for you to
I'm-
run around in.
I'm
There's
in
any
Rocket League in this
possibility
game.
that you could get lost here. Now this is game design.
I didn't
If you
know
manage
about
to get
this.
lost in this game, I will be phenomenally impressed.
I'm in Rocket League.
Wait, I can't. I'm in a bounty.
Okay, so what exactly do we do here? Let's see. There are lots of
Yeah,
cars
this
here
is
in
cool.
the back, but obviously there's no racetrack. Okay, I'm seeing that there's a ball of some kind back here. Is this game sports ball? Stanley, I think it's sports ball. Oh, what fun. We shall run the bases and do a touchdown together? Yes, I think surely we must. Okay, Stanley,
Pretty
here's the
good.
ball. Have fun.
How are you getting on? Oh. Oh. I'm hitting the ball. I'm about to score.
Are you doing it? Are you winning? Is this fun? Is it better than my miserable little story
Yes.
that I worked so hard on? Stanley, I have a thought. And I realize I'm not a sportsologist, but if
Pretty
one
good.
ball generates a certain amount of raw adrenal pleasure, then surely Hold on. What are you doing?
Stanley, don't do that. I can't follow you there. I can't help you. How will you write a story without me? You can't do it. You know that. Stanley.
And there's a lot of enemies.
Ohio Derp. Ohio Derp is the normalest enormous words in Ohio.
This is not your average friends share stories and told you practically in that school.
What kind of Adrian Nelson propaganda?
Bro, Team Snapchat can go
I wonder what he
butthole.
found. If what he wanted was to be the leading man in his own story, well, perhaps he's gotten it. Down in wherever he is right now. I wonder if he's happy with his choice, and if he's learned the heavy cost that comes with it. He'll understand soon what I was trying to tell him. He needs me. Someone who will wrap everything up at the end, to make sense out of the chaos and the fear and the confusion. That's who I am. That is what I mean to this world. Oh, yes. Yes, I'll be back. There's no other way. Once this ends, after it all comes to a close, then I'll be back. The end will be here soon. Very soon. I can wait.
Adam's still here.
Wait, Stanley thought to himself. Am I
Yeah.
sure that the orders stopped coming in? How is that possible? They never stopped. Surely I was mistaken.
Dill Pickle 19's on. You sure?
Dude, he's sending me a new
Oh, please. Are you really just doing this for the trophy? Click a door 5 times? Is that all you think a trophy is worth? No. I can't just give these merits away for such little effort. A measly 5 clicks. Now, suppose you were to click the door 20 times. I would say that's the kind of effort that warrants recognition.
I have to say, I'm still not feeling the satisfaction of witnessing true effort for a noble cause. Perhaps 50 clicks will do it. Yes, almost certainly 50 clicks.
Yeah.
No, I'm still not feeling it. I want this trophy to have meant something. It has to be a true reward for valiant effort. I want to see some hustle, Stanley. I want to see commitment, a willingness to go all the way no matter the cost.
Why don't you go put 20 clicks into door number 417? Oh, great. Now, go click a few times on door 437. Excellent. I think we're getting somewhere. Now, door 415. Let's give it 10 clicks or so.
Alright. Hi, I won't.
Now, back to door number 437. Let's see. How about you click on, well, I don't know, the copy machine? All right, back to room 417. I'm really feeling it now. I think we're getting somewhere. Okay, now go climb on employee 419's desk.
That was XL. You know, and I can fit an XL. I don't know if you guys ever knew that. I can. I just don't like XL shirts because they're a bit too tight.
Yes, this is great. You're putting it all on the line, Stanley. I like that. All right, let's keep it up. Go give me a few clicks on door 416.
And he said, no, you're gonna stretch it.
We've almost got it! Now the copy machine, do
Who
that
said
one
this?
again!
Oh my gosh.
Oh, and guess what? When he wasn't in the room, I put it on, and I put it on over my shirt, which was a Dickies work shirt, which is a thick shirt. I put it on over my work shirt, and it fit fine! It didn't even stretch at all! Barely even tight. And that was putting it on over one of my shirts already. He said I was gonna fucking stretch it, that dick. Fucking asshole. He said I was gonna stretch it. When I could put it, so there was enough room to put it on over my shirt.
Okay, that's a lot of room.
Finish it off, Stanley! 5 clicks on door 430! Yes! We did it! Oh, wow. That felt amazing. Oh, you really earned it, Stanley. Nothing could hold you back. Yes, I'm very proud of how far we've come today. When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Phew, that was a close one.
Stanley stepped into the broom closet, but there was nothing here, so he turned around and got back on. Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
Watching what? You said Ashton.
And there it is.
Oh, my bad. I must have misheard.
Savor this moment, Stanley. This is a real accomplishment. This is doing something just for the sake of
I don't know.
doing it. Where so many people expect to be rewarded for the most trivial achievements, you've insisted that a job well done is its own reward. I would tell you that I'm proud of you for collecting.
Better let the
But that would
snake
be
on
like a
the
reward,
phone.
and we can't have that. So, instead I'll just say, it's done. We're all done here. And now we can go to whatever the hell you were doing before you hunted for figurines.
After you guys for not liking it. I hate Adam just as much as anybody else here.
I was telling you I don't get as scared as Adam. I'm picky.
It doesn't have to be scary. It was a good fucking
I said all right. I didn't say it was bad, like Jaden. Jeez.
That's true. I don't care. You like Megan.
I didn't like Megan.
I said it was alright. I said it was alright too. I just kind of trashed on it.
Listen, Jaden, shut up. You like Megan. I don't want to hear it. Okay, but Ashton, you actually like Megan.
Get it off.
Pentagon has released declassified UFO footage. What was that?
Okay, I think we all know the drill by now. Blah, blah, blah. Dark secrets, the keypad. Stanley pushes some buttons. Oh, hey, look, it's a new passageway. Kill surprise.
Oh my gosh. It's too far, man. What?
Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility. Although this passageway had the word escape written on it, the truth was that at the end of this hall, Stanley would meet his violent
Not
death.
bad. I got it on a good deal.
The door behind him was not shut. Stanley still had every
I got it for
opportunity
free.
to turn around and get back on track. At this point, Stanley
I got
was
it for a
making a
great deal.
conscious, concerted effort to walk forward and willingly confront his death.